Demand isn't real. Not the way we're taught to believe. It's carefully manufactured. In luxury, it's designed, planned, and controlled in advance, before you ever choose. This video explains how luxury brands shape demand. Not by responding to people. They decide what's available, when it appears, and who gets access to it. And more importantly, why this system is so effective on human behavior. It starts by limiting what's available, not because supply is low, but because access is. Not everyone is meant to buy. Access is filtered long before money is involved. Waiting becomes part of the experience, and delay quietly increases desire. Products aren't everywhere by accident. They're placed carefully, so access always feels limited. Scarcity isn't a side effect of demand. It's deliberately built into the system. This is what exclusivity looks like: isolated, untouchable. But this isolation isn't accidental. It's the first signal of control. Once access feels uncertain, status stops being owned. It has to be constantly defended. By controlling availability, they control attention and how value is perceived. Access is never open to everyone. It's carefully filtered long before demand appears. Not everyone is meant to get in, and that exclusion is intentional. That's why waiting becomes part of the experience. Delay doesn't reduce desire. The longer the wait, the more valuable access feels. Even before anything is owned. Ownership stops being the reward. Recognition does. Being chosen becomes the real value, because being chosen feels powerful, even when the rules are invisible. Eventually, access becomes personal. It starts to feel like a measure of worth. And when access is denied, people don't question the system. They question themselves. That response is intentional. Self-doubt is part of the design. It keeps the system intact. This isn't chaos, it's a strategy, carefully designed to feel natural. Every rule is intentional. Every limitation serves a specific purpose. And once the system is built, it no longer needs to change. It just keeps working. Because people begin enforcing it themselves, often without realizing they are. Access is carefully managed, not through force, but through rules people accept. This isn't chaos, it's design. Planned long before anyone notices. Once the design is in place, everything else begins to follow, almost automatically. And over time, people stop seeing it as a system. It just feels normal. At this point, the product barely matters. What's being sold is controlled. Access is tightly controlled, not by price, but by permission and approval. This is by design. It's the result of careful structure, working exactly as intended. Every part of it is planned, from scarcity to access to desire. After the purchase, the feeling fades faster than expected, leaving something strangely empty. The feeling fades because it was never designed to last, only to keep you wanting more. And so the chase continues. Not for the product, but for the feeling it promises. Over time, the chase changes people. It slowly reshapes identity. What begins as desire slowly becomes part of how people define themselves. And that shift comes at a cost, one that isn't measured in money. And eventually, the illusion quietly fades away, leaving clarity behind. The real cost isn't money. It's what this system slowly takes from people. Eventually, something shifts. The excitement fades. What felt rare feels empty. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. The system becomes obvious. You can't unsee it. Every signal starts to make sense. The system reveals itself. And that's when people start to realize something. The chase never really ends. It just keeps resetting. Luxury isn't evil. It's carefully engineered to shape desire and influence behavior. It's engineered, built deliberately, not accidentally, designed using psychology to guide behavior without force. And the system goes deeper than most people realize. It doesn't just shape what we buy, it shapes how we think about value. Scarcity becomes normal, not because things are rare, but because limitation is repeated. Over time, the effect weakens, the impact fades, and the illusion loses its grip. And the bar keeps moving. What once felt exclusive quickly becomes the new minimum. Satisfaction never lasts. As access expands, exclusivity begins to dilute. What once felt rare starts to feel ordinary. As expectations rise, pressure begins to build, both for buyers and for the brands themselves. Every system has limits. When pressure builds long enough, even the most controlled designs begin to strain. As expectations rise, trust slowly fades. People start questioning what once felt certain. What's left isn't anger, it's distance, and the slow realization that something no longer feels worth chasing. The product was only the surface. What really mattered was what owning it said about you, status, and the feeling of being chosen. And now you see it, not as mystery, but as structure. A system that was always there, quietly shaping behavior. Once the system is understood, desire begins to flatten. What once felt urgent no longer pulls the same way. The system depends on one idea, that more is never enough. Satisfaction is always delayed. Status never settles. The moment it's reached, it starts slipping away. There's always something higher to chase. Over time, the chase wears you down. What once felt exciting becomes exhausting, and it starts to take its toll. Eventually, the noise fades. The excitement quiets down, and you're left alone with what it actually gave you. Then, it clicks. Nothing was accidental. Every step was designed to feel this way. What's left isn't satisfaction. Quiet pause after the excitement fades, and the feeling that something else is still missing. This was never really about desire. It's about who sets the rules, who decides access, and who is allowed to belong. And after all the chasing, what's left is silence, space, and a question no one asks. Once you see the system, you stop chasing the illusion, and you start seeing luxury for what it really is. If you're curious about how luxury really works, subscribe for more.